The massive starship moved through space like a floating city made of metal and lights. Commander Lee Hyan stood at the front window watching Earth get bigger and bigger as they came closer to the blue planet he was tall for his alien race, with skin that looked like it was made of smooth green stone and eyes that glowed softly in the dim light of the command room behind him. 47 of the galaxy's best soldiers waited in perfect rows. They came from 12 different worlds, and each one looked completely different from the others. Some had scales like dragons, others had fur like giant cats, and a few looked almost like humans, but with extra arms or different colored skin. All of them were warriors who had proven themselves. In countless battles across the stars, in the corner of the room stood one human, Captain Park Ji-won of the Earth Navy SEALs. He was not as tall as most of the aliens, and his skin was the normal pink-brown color of his species. His black hair was cut short in military style, and his dark eyes watched everything around him without showing any emotion. The other soldiers kept looking at him and whispering to each other in their strange languages. Park Ji-won had been chosen from millions of Earth soldiers to represent his entire planet in this test. He had fought in 3 wars on Mars, lived through the terrible siege at Europa Station, where everyone else died, and completed the most dangerous survival training course in human space. With a perfect score, his record was impressive, but the aliens were not sure if humans were strong enough to fight alongside them. Admiral Kim Min-ho stepped forward from the group of alien commanders. His race looked like enormous lizards that walked on 2 legs, and his scales changed colors when he felt different emotions. Right now they were dark red, which meant he was being very serious. He looked down at the human who was much smaller than him. Your people want to join our cosmic defense force, he said in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. But first, you must prove that humans are worthy to fight with us. We have seen many species try to join our ranks. Most of them failed the tests and went back to their homeworlds. With shame, Park Ji-won looked up at the huge alien without any fear showing on his face. What kind of tests do you want me to do? He asked in a calm voice that surprised many of the watching soldiers. Most new species either bragged about how strong they were or acted scared when they met the galactic warriors. Humans seemed to do neither of these things. The ship began to slow down as they reached their destination. Training Station Alpha 7 was the biggest military training center in known space. It looked like a metal moon floating in the darkness between stars. Thousands of lights covered its surface, and ships from hundreds of different worlds were docked at its many ports. Warriors came from across the galaxy to test their skills. Here Lee Hyan activated a holographic display that showed the inside of the training station. There are 3 trials waiting for you, human, he explained. Combat skills to see if you can fight, survival instincts to see if you can live through danger, and leadership under pressure to see if you can guide others when everything goes wrong. Pass all 3 tests and your species will be welcomed as equals in our forces. Fail any one of them and Earth will remain under our protection, but never as our partners. The other alien soldiers moved closer to get a better look at the human. They had heard stories about Earth but had never seen one of its warriors up close. Some of them were twice as tall as Park Ji-won and had natural weapons like claws or poison glands. Others could breathe in space without protection or lift objects that weighed as much as small vehicles. All of them wondered how this soft-looking creature could possibly compete with them. Park Ji-won took off his military jacket and folded it neatly. The watching aliens could see scars on his arms from old battles and the muscles that came from years of hard training. When do we start? He asked simply. The directness of his question made several aliens step back in. Surprised, they were used to long speeches about honor and glory from new warriors. Admiral Kim Min-ho's scales shifted to a lighter color, showing he was impressed by the human's attitude. You show no fear and make no boasts, he observed. Most species spend much time telling us how great they are before the testing begins. You simply ask when to begin. This is unusual. The human shrugged his shoulders. I came here to take your tests, not to make speeches about them. If my people are worthy, you will see it in my actions, not in my words. As their ship connected to the training station, alarm sounds suddenly filled the air. Red warning lights flashed on and off throughout the command room. An urgent voice came through the communication system. Emergency at Training Station Alpha 7. All incoming ships hold your position. Repeat, all ships hold position. Commander Lee Hyan quickly opened a channel to the station. "What is the nature of your emergency?" he demanded. The answer that came back made even the bravest alien warriors look worried. Station Commander Choi Minji appeared on their main screen. Her face was pale and sweat covered her forehead. "Commander, the Catherine Beast has escaped from Containment Level 9. It broke through 3 security barriers and is moving up through the station. We have lost contact with multiple security teams and civilian personnel are trapped on several levels." The alien soldiers began talking excitedly among themselves in their various languages. The Catherine Beast was legendary among galactic warriors. It stood 4 meters tall, had 6 razor-sharp limbs and armored scales that could stop the most powerful energy weapons. Its intelligence was as dangerous as its physical abilities, and it had killed some of the galaxy's greatest champions. "This changes everything," said Admiral Kim Min-ho, his scales now showing the dark blue color of fear. "If the apex predator is loose, we must evacuate the area immediately. No single warrior can face a Catherine Beast. In an uncontrolled environment, even our best teams rarely survive encounters with such creatures." Park Ji-won walked to a display screen and began studying the layout of the training station. "How many people are still inside?" he asked Commander Choi Minji. Her answer made the situation even more serious. 47 station personnel, including my daughter, So Young, who works in the research laboratories. The beast was last detected somewhere between levels 6 and 8, moving upward toward the civilian areas. We estimate it will reach the main population centers within 2 hours. The alien commanders immediately began discussing evacuation procedures and calling for backup military fleets. They talked about using orbital bombardment to destroy the beast, even if it meant sacrificing everyone still trapped inside the station. This was standard galactic military procedure, they explained to Park Ji-won. Sometimes losses had to be accepted for the greater good. Park Ji-won listened to their plans while checking his equipment. His sidearm, combat knife, medical supplies, and communication device, everything a Navy SEAL needed for any mission. The gear looked very basic compared to the advanced weapons and armor the aliens carried. "I am going into the station," he announced quietly. Every alien in the room turned to stare at him. Lee Hyun grabbed his arm. "Human, you do not understand what you are saying. This creature has killed champions from 7 different species. Warriors who trained their entire lives for combat could not defeat it. Even with the best weapons and technology, you have primitive equipment and no backup support." Park Ji-won looked at the screen showing the training station where 47 people waited for rescue. "Those people do not have time for backup fleets or orbital bombardment. Every minute we spend planning their rescue, more of them will die." He started walking toward the docking bay that connected their ship to the station. The alien commanders followed him, arguing about how impossible his mission was. But as they watched this small human prepare to face the most dangerous predator in the galaxy alone, they began to realize something important. He was not trying to prove how strong he was or win glory for himself. He was simply doing what he believed was right, regardless of what it might cost him. Perhaps they had been wrong about humans. Perhaps Earth warriors had strengths that could not be measured in the usual ways. As Park Ji-won stepped toward the airlock that would take him into mortal danger, the aliens wondered if they were about to witness something that would change their understanding of courage forever. Training Station Alpha 7 shook like a giant was hitting it with a massive hammer as Commander Lee Hyun's ship connected to the docking port. The metal walls groaned and creaked from whatever was happening inside the station. Emergency lights flashed red through every window, making the darkness of space look like it was on fire. Station Commander Choi Minji appeared again on their communication screen, but this time her image kept cutting in and out because of damage to the station's systems. Her voice was filled with panic as she gave them more terrible news. "The beast has destroyed the main power generator on level 8. We are running on backup power only. All the security doors that were supposed to contain it are now opening automatically." The alien soldiers gathered around their commanders looked more frightened than Park Ji-won had ever seen warriors look. Admiral Kim Min-ho's scales had turned completely black, which meant he was experiencing pure terror. Several of the other species were making sounds that were clearly prayers in their native language as Commander Lee Hyun tried to maintain control of the situation. "How did this happen?" he demanded. "The Catherine Beast was supposed to be held in the most secure containment Unit ever built, how could it possibly escape? Choi Minji wiped sweat from her face as explosions could be heard in the background behind her. We are not completely sure, but our scientists think it may have been learning our security systems for months. Every time we tested our defenses, it was watching and memorizing. The beast is much more intelligent than we believed. It planned this escape. This news made the situation even worse. The aliens had always thought of the Kethrin beast as a powerful but mindless creature that acted on instinct alone. The idea that it could plan and think strategically was terrifying because it meant the creature was not just physically dangerous but mentally dangerous as well. Park Ji-won studied the display screens that showed the station's layout. The beast appeared as a large red dot moving through level 7, exactly where the research laboratories were located. 23 life signs still showed on that level, including Choi Minja's daughter, So Young, who worked in the xenobiology department. Admiral Kim Minho noticed what the human was looking at. Human warrior. You cannot be seriously considering entering that station. The Kethrin beast stands 4 meters tall and weighs more than a small vehicle. Its 6 limbs can tear through reinforced steel like paper, and its armored hide can deflect our most powerful energy weapons. Even our best trained soldiers need teams of 20 or more to have any chance against such a creature. Park Yuan continued studying the station's blueprints on his wrist computer. How fast does it move? He asked. Faster than anything we have ever encountered, answered Li Haiyan. It can run at speeds that make it appear as just a blur to most species. Its reflexes are so quick that it can dodge energy blasts fired from close range. The beast also has incredible jumping ability and can climb walls and ceilings as easily as walking on floors. The human nodded as he absorbed this information. What about its hunting patterns? Does it kill randomly, or does it follow some kind of logic? The alien commanders looked at each other with surprise. No one had ever asked questions like this about the beast before. Most warriors only wanted to know about its weaknesses and how to hurt it. This human seemed more interested in understanding how the creature thought it hunts, methodically explained a tall alien with blue fur who commanded the Polar Brigade forces. The beast searches area by area, clearing each section completely before moving to the next. It seems to enjoy the fear of its prey and often plays with victims before killing them. This psychological torture is part of what makes it so dangerous. Park Ji-won finished checking his equipment and started walking toward the airlock that connected to the station. The alien commanders followed him, still trying to convince him that his mission was impossible. Human, please listen to reason, said Admiral Kim Minho. Even if you somehow manage to avoid the beast long enough to reach the trapped personnel, how will you get them out? The creature will be between you and any escape route. You will all die together instead of just them dying alone. Park Ji-won stopped at the airlock door and turned to face the group of alien officers on Earth. We have a saying, he told them, no one gets left behind. It means that we do not abandon our people even when saving them seems impossible. These 47 people on the station are not my people, but they are people, and that is enough. Commander Li Haiyan stepped forward. Human, I respect your courage, but courage without wisdom is just suicide. You have no weapons that can hurt the beast, no armor that can protect you from its claws, and no backup to help you if things go wrong. What do you hope to accomplish? The human activated the airlock controls as he answered, I hope to get those people out alive sometimes. That is all the plan you need. The rest you figure out as you go through the communication system. They could hear more explosions and screaming from inside the station. Choi Minji's voice came through again, filled with desperation. The beast has reached level 7. It is outside the main laboratory where my daughter works. The door will not hold for long, please. If anyone can help us, we are running out of time. Park Ji-won stepped into the airlock chamber as the heavy door sealed behind him. Through the small window, the alien commanders could see him making final checks of his equipment. The simple gear of an Earth soldier looked pathetic compared to the advanced technology they were used to, but somehow the human did not seem worried about being outgunned. As the outer airlock door opened, Park Ji-won spoke one last time to the aliens, watching him. I am not going in there to fight the beast, he said. I am going in there to outsmart it. There is a difference. This statement confused the alien commanders, who understood warfare only as direct combat between opposing forces. The idea of defeating a superior enemy through intelligence rather than strength was foreign to their military thinking. They watched through security cameras as the lone human disappeared into the dark corridors of the damaged station. Admiral Kim Min-ho scales shifted to a color none of the other aliens had seen before, a mixture of fear and hope. What kind of species have we encountered? He wondered aloud. Warriors who face impossible odds not for glory or conquest, but simply because they believe it is the right thing to do. The other commanders had no answer for his question. They could only watch and wait to see if this strange human could accomplish what entire armies of their best soldiers would not even attempt. The screen showed Park Ji-won moving carefully through the station corridors, checking corners and doorways with practiced skill. Meanwhile, the red dot representing the Kethrin beast continued moving through level 7, getting closer and closer to the trapped researchers. The race between human intelligence and alien instinct had begun, and the lives of 47 people hung in the balance on their ship. The alien warriors found themselves hoping for something they had never expected to hope for: the success of a mission they believed was completely impossible, carried out by a species they had thought was too weak to join their ranks. The human had already changed their understanding of courage simply by walking through that airlock door. Now they would discover if courage alone was enough to face the most dangerous predator in the known galaxy. The airlock door opened with a loud hiss and Park Ji-won stepped into Training Station Alpha 7. The air inside smelled like burning metal and fear. Emergency lights cast strange shadows down the empty corridors, making everything look red and dangerous. The station's computer voice spoke in calm tones that seemed wrong for such a terrible situation. Warning: hostile entity detected on multiple levels. All personnel should evacuate immediately. Park Ji-won moved forward carefully, keeping his back to the walls and checking every doorway before passing through. His boots made small echoing sounds on the metal floor, but he could not avoid making some noise. The station was built for heavy traffic, and stealth had not been a consideration when they designed the walkways from their ship. Commander Lee Hyeon and the other alien officers watched through security cameras that were still working throughout the station. They saw the lone human move through the corridors with the practiced efficiency of someone who had been in many dangerous places before. His movements were smooth and purposeful, unlike the panicked running they usually saw from people facing the Kethrin beast. Park Ji-won reached a maintenance terminal and connected his wrist computer to the station's internal systems. The display showed him exactly what he needed to know. The beast appeared as a large red dot moving through level 7, where So Young and her research team were trapped. 23 life signs showed on that level, scattered through different laboratories and storage rooms. The creature seemed to be hunting systematically, moving from room to room as it searched for victims. This pattern told Park Ji-won something important about how the beast thought it was not killing randomly or acting on pure instinct. Instead, it was following a logical plan, which meant it could be predicted and possibly manipulated through his communication device. Admiral Kim Min-ho voice crackled with static. Human, you must retreat while you still have the chance. The creature moves faster than anything we have encountered in 300 years of galactic warfare. Its claws can slice through reinforced steel like soft cheese, and its hide has deflected our strongest energy weapons. Even our best warriors need heavy vehicles and orbital support to have any hope of survival. Park Ji-won studied the station blueprints displayed on his device as he answered, "I do not plan to fight it," he said quietly. "I plan to outsmart it." This statement puzzled the aliens, who understood warfare as direct physical combat between opposing forces. The idea of defeating a superior enemy through intelligence rather than strength seemed impossible to their military minds. Moving deeper into the station, Park Ji-won began putting his plan into action. He accessed the environmental controls and started adjusting atmospheric pressure in specific sections, creating false readings that would suggest hull breaches and system failures. He rerouted power from non-essential systems to create electromagnetic disturbances in certain corridors. Most importantly, he began studying exactly how the beast moved and hunted. The security cameras showed the Kethrin beast as it tore through a reinforced laboratory door on level 7. Its 6 limbs moved with terrifying grace, and its eyes glowed with the intelligence of a natural predator. Several scientists huddled in the corner of the room, including a young woman who had to be so young. The beast approached them slowly, seeming to enjoy their terror before making the kill. Suddenly, Alarms began blaring throughout the station, but not from level 7. The environmental systems were reporting a massive atmospheric breach on level 5, suggesting critical hull damage that could destroy the entire facility. The beast head turned toward the sound as its survival instincts responded to what appeared to be a much greater threat than the cowering humans. The creature abandoned the trapped scientists and began moving toward level 5 to investigate the apparent emergency. Its primitive brain could not ignore signals that suggested the entire station might be in danger. Park Ji-won watched from his hiding place as the massive predator passed within a few meters of his location, heading exactly where he had planned for it to go. Through their communication link, the alien commanders realized what was happening. The human had created false emergencies to manipulate the beast behavior using its own survival instincts. Against it, Admiral Kim Min-ho's scales changed to a color that meant amazement. This is not how we would approach such a problem, he admitted, but we cannot argue with its effectiveness. As the beast disappeared into the lower levels, chasing phantom threats that Park Ji-won continued to create throughout the station, the Navy SEAL began his real mission. Moving quickly but carefully, he started reaching the locations where personnel were trapped, guiding them through safe corridors to evacuation points where shuttles from the alien ship could pick them up. The first group of survivors consisted of 5 maintenance workers who had been hiding in a storage closet since the beast escaped. They looked at Park Ji-won with amazement when he appeared at their door. A human, they whispered. How is this possible? Why would your people risk one life to save ours? Park Ji-won helped them move toward the evacuation point as he answered, because every life has value, and because someone has to try. The maintenance workers were aliens from 3 different species, but they all understood courage when they saw it. This small human was risking everything to save people he had never met, simply because it was the right thing to do. More groups followed as Park Ji-won systematically worked through the station. 2 researchers from level 6-3 security guards, who had been cut off from their posts, and a group of civilian visitors who had been touring the facility when the emergency began. Each rescue required careful timing and route planning because the beast was still hunting. Even though it was being led away from the victims, Commander Lee Hyun coordinated the shuttle pickups from his ship. Each group of survivors who reached safety brought stories of the human who had appeared like a ghost to guide them through corridors they thought would be their tombs. The alien officers found themselves impressed not just by Park Ji-won's courage, but by his systematic approach to what seemed like an impossible problem. However, the plan was not perfect. The Kethran beast was learning just as Park Ji-won had learned about it. After chasing several false alarms, the creature began to understand that someone was manipulating the station systems. It stopped responding to the environmental tricks and started moving with new purpose, heading directly toward areas where survivors were still trapped. Park Ji-won realized his deception had been discovered when the beast suddenly changed direction on the security monitors. Instead of investigating another fake emergency, it was moving straight toward the main laboratory complex where So Young and the largest group of survivors were still waiting. The hunt had become a chess game between human intelligence and alien cunning. Time was running out. Park Ji-won had saved 35 people, but 12 still remained trapped, including the station commander's daughter. The beast now stood between him and them, and it was no longer being fooled by environmental manipulation. The creature had adapted to his tactics faster than he had expected. Moving toward the central computer core, Park Ji-won began uploading something from his personal equipment to the station's main systems. The watching aliens could not understand what he was doing, but they could see data flowing between his device and the facility computers. Whatever the human was planning, it was his last chance to save the remaining people. The upload completed, and suddenly every screen throughout the station displayed the same information: detailed analysis of the Kethran beast movement patterns, reaction times, hunting strategies, and behavioral responses. But this was not just data collection, it was something much more sophisticated that made the alien commanders gasp in surprise. Park Ji-won had been studying the beast just as carefully as it had been studying him. Every movement, every decision, every reaction had been recorded and analyzed. The SEAL training that had prepared him for impossible missions on Earth had given him something the galactic warriors lacked the ability to learn about an enemy and find weaknesses that were not physical. The beast reached level 7 and approached the laboratory where So Young waited with her colleagues. But as it prepared to break down the final barrier, something unexpected happened. Through the station speaker system, Park Ji-won began to speak not to the trapped humans, but to the creature itself. Park Ji-won's voice echoed through the station corridors as he spoke directly to the Catherine. Beast, through the communication system, I know you can understand me, he said in a calm, steady tone. Your species has intelligence equal to ours. You are not just hunting for food or territory. You are hunting because you have been trapped here, forced to fight for the entertainment of others. The massive creature stopped outside the laboratory door where So Young and her colleagues waited in terror. Its glowing eyes seemed to focus on the speakers in the ceiling as it listened to words that no one had ever spoken to it before. The beast had tilted slightly, and what looked almost like curiosity through their ship monitors, the alien commanders watched. In stunned silence, Admiral Kim Min-ho's scales shifted through colors they had never seen before as he struggled to process what was happening. In 300 years of galactic warfare, no one has ever tried to communicate with a Catherine beast. He whispered, they are considered mindless killing machines, useful only for combat training and execution of prisoners. Park Ji-won continued speaking as he moved through the station toward level 7. This is not the behavior of a mindless beast, he said, addressing the creature directly. This is the behavior of an intelligent being who has been imprisoned and forced to fight against its will. You have been alone here for years with no contact except violence. No one has ever treated you as anything more than a weapon. The beast stepped back from the laboratory door for the first time in its captivity. Someone was acknowledging that it might have thoughts and feelings beyond the desire to kill. The creature lowered its massive body closer to the floor as if trying to hear better through the communication system from the laboratory. So Young pressed her face against the reinforced window, watching the most feared predator in the galaxy appear to listen to a human she had never met. The other researchers huddled behind equipment, but she found herself fascinated by what was happening. The beast that had terrified warriors across multiple star systems was showing behavior that suggested deep intelligence. I am not here to fight you or capture you again, Park Ji-won said as he climbed through maintenance shafts to reach level 7. I am here to offer you something no one else ever has a choice. Help me get these people to safety, and I will make sure you get what you really want away off this station and back to your homeworld. The alien commanders could barely believe what they were hearing through the communication link. Commander Lee Hyeon spoke first, his voice filled with disbelief. Human, you cannot make such promises. The Galactic Council would never approve the release of such a dangerous creature. Even if you wanted to help it, you do not have the authority. Park Ji-won emerged from a service tunnel just 50 meters from where the beast waited. His answer was simple but determined. I will find the authority or create it. Every intelligent being has the right to freedom if they are willing to choose peace over violence. The Catherine beast turned to look directly at the human who had just appeared in the corridor. The two faced each other, separated by only a short distance that either could cross in seconds. The creature was even more impressive up close, its armored hide bearing scars from countless forced battles, its 6 limbs capable of tearing through the strongest materials, yet it remained perfectly still. What happened next shocked everyone who witnessed it. The beast that had killed some of the galaxy's greatest warriors slowly sat down on the metal floor, its glowing eyes never left Park Ji-won, but its posture changed from aggressive to something that almost looked like patience. It was not surrendering or showing weakness. It was making a choice. Thank you, Park Ji-won said, simply walking slowly toward the laboratory door. The beast watched his every movement but made no threatening gestures. When the human passed within arm's reach of the massive predator, it did nothing except follow him with its intelligent gaze through the reinforced laboratory window. So Young watched as Park Ji-won approached. She was young, perhaps 25, with the determined look of someone who had chosen dangerous research work because she believed in making the galaxy safer. Her colleagues pressed around her as the human began working on the door controls. The beast could have attacked at any moment during the rescue process. Instead, it sat in the corridor like a guardian, protecting the humans as they evacuated the Laboratory So Young was the last to leave, and as she passed the creature, she did something that amazed everyone watching. She bowed respectfully to the beast, which responded by inclining its massive head. Slightly, Commander Lee Hyan coordinated the final evacuation shuttles from his ship as he watched events unfold. Human, how did you know the creature would respond to respect instead of force? He asked through the communication system. Park Ji-won helped the last survivors into the evacuation craft. Before answering, on Earth we learned that the most dangerous enemies are not always the strongest ones. The most dangerous are the intelligent ones who feel they have no other choice but to fight. Give them a better option, and they will often take it. This creature has been fighting because it saw no alternative, not because it wanted to hurt people. The beast had remained in the corridor throughout the evacuation process, patiently waiting as Park Ji-won fulfilled his part of their agreement. When the last human was safe, the creature approached the Navy SEAL and extended one of its smaller manipulator limbs. Park Ji-won reached out and briefly touched the alien appendage. The contact lasted only a moment, but its meaning was clear to everyone watching. Mutual respect between two warriors. Now it was time for Park Ji-won to keep his promise. Accessing the station's main communication array, he opened a channel to Galactic Council headquarters and began transmitting something that surprised everyone listening. He was not requesting extraction or medical support. He was filing formal legal documents. The paperwork was complex, but Park Ji-won had researched galactic law during the long journey to the training station. He was petitioning for the immediate release and repatriation of what he termed an illegally detained sentient being. The beast had rights under interspecies law that had been ignored for years. Admiral Kim Min-ho watched the legal filing with amazement. Human, you have shown us something we never considered, he said, his scales showing deep thoughtfulness. Strength without wisdom is just destruction. But wisdom combined with courage can change everything. The Catherine beast seemed to understand that its freedom was being arranged for the first time since its capture years ago. It made a sound that was not a growl or roar. Instead, it was something that almost sounded like gratitude, a deep harmonic tone that resonated through the station corridor. So Young approached Park Ji-won as they waited for the Galactic Council response. Thank you for saving all of us, she said. But can you really keep your promise to the beast? The council has never released a creature this dangerous before. Park Ji-won looked at the beast, which was waiting patiently for news of its fate. I keep my promises, he said simply, and I believe that intelligence deserves freedom regardless of what form it takes. The creature has shown that it can choose cooperation over violence when given the chance. That proves it deserves the same rights as any other thinking being. The response from Galactic Council headquarters came faster than anyone expected. Political pressure was building as news of the unprecedented rescue spread through the communication networks. Citizens across multiple worlds were demanding to know why an intelligent being had been held in captivity for entertainment. The beast would go free. The official response from Galactic Council headquarters appeared on every screen throughout the station. Petition approved for emergency review. The detainment of sentient being designation Catherine Beast is hereby suspended pending full legal investigation. Transport will be provided for immediate repatriation to homeworld coordinates provided by petitioner. Park Ji-won read the message aloud to the creature that stood waiting beside him. The beast's eyes seemed to glow brighter when it heard the word homeworld, and it made that strange harmonic sound again. The tone was deeper this time, filled with what could only be described as hope. After years of despair, Commander Lee Hyun's voice came through the communication system with amazement. Human, you have accomplished something that military historians will study for centuries. Not only did you rescue 47 people from certain death, but you have changed the legal status of an entire species. The Galactic Council has never moved so quickly on any petition. The alien commanders gathered around their communication equipment, listening as Park Ji-won explained his next request. We need a ship capable of long-range travel to the outer rim territories the beast homeworld is in. Uncharted space that will take weeks to reach. I am requesting permission to escort it personally to ensure safe arrival. Admiral Kim Min-ho's scales showed the purple color that meant he was thinking very hard about something important. Human warrior, you continue to surprise us. Most soldiers would consider their mission complete once the rescue was finished. But you insist on seeing this through to the end even though it will take you far from Earth and your own people. Park Ji-won helped so Young and the other survivors prepare for transport back to their ship as he answered, "A promise is only as good as the person who makes it. If I say I will make sure this creature gets home safely, then that is exactly what I will do." The beast trusted me enough to help save those people. Now I have to trust it enough to travel across the galaxy together. The implications of what was happening began to ripple through the galactic military establishment. If the feared Kethran beasts were actually intelligent beings capable of reasoning and cooperation, what did that mean for other species they had classified as hostile? How many conflicts throughout the galaxy might be resolved through communication instead of warfare? So Young approached Park Ji-won carrying a data device filled with her research notes. "I have been studying what happened during the crisis," she said. The beast behavior patterns changed completely once it realized someone was treating it with respect rather than fear. Its intelligence may be even greater than we suspected. We could learn incredible things by establishing proper communication with its species. Park Ji-won nodded as he watched the creature examine the evacuation equipment with obvious curiosity. The beast was careful not to damage anything with its powerful limbs and seemed genuinely interested in how the human technology worked. This was not the behavior of a mindless predator, but of a thinking being trying to understand its environment. The journey to escort the Kethran beast home would take 3 weeks through dangerous unexplored space. Park Ji-won requested a small fast ship with basic supplies rather than a large military vessel. He explained that the creature had spent years surrounded by weapons and soldiers. What it needed now was peace and quiet to prepare for returning to its own kind. Admiral Kim Min-ho made an announcement that surprised everyone listening. "The combat trials for human membership in our forces are officially canceled. Your species has already proven itself worthy of joining our ranks. Not through superior fighting ability, but through superior thinking ability. We formally request that Earth provide military advisors to help us develop new approaches to conflict resolution." Park Ji-won accepted the honor on behalf of humanity, but he also made his own request in return. "We will share our knowledge gladly, but we ask for something in exchange. Help us establish communication protocols with species you have previously classified as hostile. There may be others who are fighting because they see no alternative, not because they truly want war." The alien commanders agreed immediately. They were beginning to understand that human methods might prevent conflicts that had seemed inevitable. What Park Ji-won had accomplished with one dangerous creature could potentially be applied to entire civilizations that had been enemies for generations. As preparations began for the journey to the beast homeworld, something unexpected happened. Other species throughout the galaxy began requesting similar reviews of prisoners and detained beings. The precedent that Park Ji-won had established was spreading faster than anyone had anticipated. The Kethran beast seemed to understand that it would soon be free. It began showing behaviors that the station personnel had never seen before. The creature started organizing the damaged equipment in its holding area, arranging things in patterns that suggested artistic sensibility rather than random destruction. So Young spent hours observing these behaviors and documenting them for her research. "Look at this," she told Park Ji-won, pointing to arrangements the beast had made with broken metal pieces. "It is creating something beautiful from the wreckage. This suggests not just intelligence but culture and aesthetic appreciation." The beast noticed her interest and began deliberately creating more complex patterns. It would arrange objects, then look toward the observation window to see if the humans were watching. When so Young expressed approval by nodding. The creature would make its harmonic sound and create even more elaborate designs. Commander Lee Hyon watched these interactions with growing amazement. "We have held this being captive for 5 years and never realized it was trying to communicate with us through art. We saw only a weapon when we should have seen a person." Park Ji-won spent the remaining time before departure learning as much as possible about the beast and its species. The creature seemed eager to teach him, responding to questions with gestures and simple demonstrations. It showed him how its limbs could be used for delicate work as well as combat and demonstrated problem-solving abilities that impressed even the station's scientists. The small transport ship arrived exactly on schedule. Park Ji-won loaded his personal equipment while the beast gathered the few possessions it had been allowed to keep during captivity. These consisted mainly of objects it had arranged artistically in its holding area. The creature carefully wrapped each piece and carried them aboard the ship as they prepared to depart. So Young gave Park Ji-won a communication device programmed with her personal frequency. "Please contact us when you return," she said. "The galaxy needs to know what you discover about the beast homeworld and its people." This could be the beginning of a completely new era of interspecies relations. The beast approached So Young before boarding the ship and extended one of its limbs toward her. She reached out cautiously to touch it, and the creature made its harmonic sound one final time before turning toward the ship. This was clearly a farewell gesture acknowledging the young scientist who had shown interest in understanding rather than fearing. Admiral Kim Min-ho gave Park Ji-won final orders that were unlike any military commands ever issued. "Travel safely, human warrior. Your mission is not just to escort this being home, but to establish first contact with an entirely unknown civilization. The information you gather could reshape how we approach every conflict in the galaxy." Park Ji-won saluted the alien officers who had become his allies rather than his judges, then followed the beast aboard the small ship as the transport separated from the training station. He looked back at the facility where everything had changed. The place that was designed to test warriors had instead become the birthplace of a new understanding between species. The journey to an unknown world was beginning. 3 weeks later, Park Ji-won stood on the observation deck of Commander Lee Hyun's flagship, watching a small transport vessel disappear into the darkness of space. The ship carried the Kethran beast toward its homeworld in the Outer Rim territories. A journey that would take another month to complete. The creature had chosen to travel alone for the final part of its journey home after spending weeks learning to trust the human who had kept his promise. The alien commanders gathered around Park Ji-won with expressions that would have been impossible to imagine when they first met. The fear and suspicion had been replaced by something much more valuable: respect and curiosity. Admiral Kim Min-ho stepped forward, his scales showing the golden color that meant deep admiration. "Human warrior, we came to this place to test your species' combat abilities," he said. "Instead, you have taught us something far more important than fighting. We believed that strength meant the ability to defeat any enemy in battle. You showed us that true strength sometimes means finding ways to avoid battle." Completely. Commander Lee Hyun nodded in agreement as he activated a holographic display showing statistics from across the galaxy. "The rescue mission you completed has created changes we never expected. 12 different conflicts between species have been resolved through negotiation in the past 3 weeks. Military commanders throughout known space are requesting training in what they call human diplomatic methods." The display showed images of former enemies meeting and peaceful conferences of species that had fought for generations suddenly discovering ways to coexist. Messages from across the galaxy told similar stories. Beings who had been classified as hostile were proving to be intelligent creatures who simply wanted to be understood. Park Ji-won remained humble about these developments. "On Earth, we have a saying," he told the assembled aliens. "The supreme excellence is to defeat your enemy without fighting. My people learned this wisdom through centuries of warfare that taught us the cost of violence. We discovered that turning enemies into friends creates lasting peace, while defeating them in battle only creates temporary quiet." So Young approached the group carrying data from her weeks of research about the Kethran beast. The information she had gathered would revolutionize xenobiology throughout the galaxy. "I've been analyzing everything that happened during the crisis," she said. "The creature behavior changed completely once someone treated it with respect instead of fear. Its intelligence is remarkable, and its culture appears to be highly sophisticated." The young scientist activated her own display, showing artwork that the beast had created during the journey to its homeworld. The patterns were complex and beautiful, suggesting not just intelligence but deep emotional and artistic development. "We could learn incredible amounts by establishing proper communication with the Kethran species. Instead of just capturing them for military purposes." Park Ji-won had spent those 3 weeks learning about galactic politics and military structure. What he discovered troubled him. The current system was based on strength and dominance with little consideration for the rights of less technologically advanced species. Many conflicts were the result of misunderstanding rather than genuine hostility. Admiral Kim Min-ho made an announcement that surprised everyone. Present: the Galactic Defense Force is implementing immediate changes to our first contact protocols. From now on, all encounters with unknown species will begin with attempts at communication rather than displays of military power. We are also reviewing the status of every being currently classified as hostile to determine if they might be intelligent creatures who deserve legal rights. These changes represented a complete transformation of how the galaxy approached interspecies relations. The old system of military dominance was being replaced by something based on respect and understanding. Park Ji-won's actions had created a ripple effect that would continue spreading for generations. Commander Lee Hyon presented Park Ji-won with formal documents that had been prepared by the Galactic Council. Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Cosmic Defense Force, he announced. But more importantly, your species is being asked to lead a new division focused on peaceful conflict resolution. We want human advisors working with every military unit to help them find alternatives to warfare. Park Ji-won accepted the honor on behalf of humanity, but he also made additional requests. We will share our knowledge gladly, but we need help establishing communication with species throughout the galaxy that have been isolated or misunderstood. There may be countless civilizations out there who are fighting because they think they have no choice. The alien commanders agreed immediately. They were beginning to understand that human methods could prevent wars that had seemed inevitable. What Park Ji-won had accomplished with one dangerous predator could be applied to entire star systems that had been in conflict for centuries. Months passed, and the changes became evident throughout the galactic community. The former training station was converted into a diplomatic research facility where humans and aliens worked together to understand species that had previously been considered hostile. Several wars that had lasted decades were resolved through negotiation rather than military action. Park Ji-won returned to Earth as a hero, but interviews showed that he remained modest about his accomplishments. He always emphasized that his success came from applying basic human values of respect, understanding, and promise-keeping to situations where others saw only problems to be solved through force. The most remarkable change was in how the galaxy viewed strength itself. Military power was no longer seen as the ultimate measure of a species' worth. Instead, intelligence, compassion, and the ability to find peaceful solutions became the qualities most valued by the Galactic Council. News arrived from the outer rim territories that the Kethran beast had safely reached its homeworld. The creature had been welcomed by its own people, who were amazed to learn that someone had finally treated their captured family member with dignity. First contact protocols were being established with the Kethran civilization based on the foundation of respect that Park Ji-won had created. So Young published research papers that revolutionized xenobiology by showing that many species classified as hostile were actually highly intelligent beings with complex cultures and art forms. Her work became required reading at universities throughout the galaxy, inspiring a new generation of scientists to look for intelligence and beauty rather than just threats. The transformation was not limited to military and scientific communities. Regular citizens across hundreds of worlds began demanding that their governments adopt more peaceful approaches to conflict resolution. The idea that strength could come from understanding rather than dominance spread through popular culture. Admiral Kim Min-ho visited Earth to establish the new diplomatic training programs. His scales had permanently changed to colors that indicated contentment and hope. We came to test whether humans were strong enough to join our military forces, he told Earth leaders. Instead, you taught us that we were not wise enough to deserve your alliance until we learned to value peace as much as power. Park Ji-won was assigned to lead the new interspecies understanding division, working with teams of humans and aliens to establish communication with isolated civilizations throughout the galaxy. Every mission followed the same principles that had saved 47 lives on Training Station Alpha. 7. Treat every being with respect, look for intelligence rather than hostility, and always keep your promises. The galaxy had become a different place. Humans took their position among the galactic community not as the strongest warriors, but as the species that reminded everyone else that intelligence and compassion could be more powerful than any Weapon: the story of the Navy SEAL who befriended an apex predator became legend, inspiring countless others to choose understanding over violence. Somewhere in the Outer Rim territories,